Every man has his demons, but some of us become them. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the story of the most extraordinary man in WWE history, aka the story of Finn Balor. First and foremost here, I would like to thank you for all the support on the Damian Priest video, and you guys absolutely smashed the goal in that video of 250 likes. As promised, here is this video as thanks. And if you go on to enjoy this one as well, I'm going to be setting another like goal. This time of 600 likes, but instead it'll be a whole new series focused on the individual stories of every member of the bloodline, which will come out here in the near future so long as we hit that goal, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss it. With all that being said, let's talk about a man and his demons. Fergal Devitt was born in Bray County, Wicklow, Ireland, and from a very early age grew interested in the world of professional wrestling through the WWF. Devitt would begin training to become a wrestler himself in 2001, before debuting in November of that year in NWA UK Hammerlock. Shortly after his debut, he went on to win the NWA British Commonwealth Heavyweight Championship. From here, he would begin touring Europe, as well as training up-and-comers through his and Paul Tracy's NWA Ireland promotion. Some of these up-and-comers include the likes of Jordan Devlin, aka JD McDonough, and the man Becky Lynch, then known as Rebecca Quinn. The scenery for Devitt would begin to change some in the year 2006, when he was invited to the New Japan Inoki Dojo to train, and this would lead him directly to competing in New Japan Pro Wrestling. It was here where he would see his first name change, this time being called Prince Devitt. In Japan, the Prince would see some success, having captured the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championships with his partner Ryusuke Taguchi as a part of Team Apollo 55. During that reign, Devitt would test his luck in singles competition, where he would compete in the 2010 Best of the Super Juniors tournament, where he would manage to win and secure a title shot against the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion, before going on to defeat Naomichi on July 11th that year to secure the gold. Around this time, he would also secure a second tag title reign alongside his partner Ryusuke, making Devitt a double champion for the first time in his career. He would prove effective at defending his singles title against the likes of Kenny Omega, but unsuccessful in defending his tag titles against the likes of Kota Ibushi and Kenny, aka the Golden Lovers. However, just a few months later, he would regain the titles yet again alongside his partner at a joint NJPW x CMLL event. Additionally, Devitt would hold on to the Junior Heavyweight Championship for 364 days before losing the title to Kota Ibushi at Dominion. However, he wouldn't be without the title for very long, as he would regain it from Low Ki during Power Struggle in late 2012. From here, Devitt would go between the tag and singles division, losing and regaining the tag titles on several occasions, with him being a 6-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Champ and also a 3-time IWGP Junior Heavyweight Champion by the time he turned on his longtime friend Taguchi. And after Devitt turned on his longtime partner, the pair would have their face-off in a tag match in a winning effort against Taguchi and Captain New Japan at Wrestling Dontaku 2013. And later in that same event, we would see the formation of arguably the most iconic modern wrestling faction. Yep, Prince Devitt alongside Fale, Carl Anderson, and Tama Tonga formed what would go on to be known simply as Bullet Club. From here, Devitt went on to enter the 2013 Best of the Super Juniors tournament, where his stablemates helped him achieve a flawless 8-0 record, and from here he would defeat the likes of Kenny Omega before challenging and defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi at Dominion to earn a shot at the IWGP World Heavyweight Championship. That title, held by Kazuchika Okada, would be defended from Devitt at Kizuna Road 2013, where the Prince would prove unsuccessful in his pursuit to be the first man to hold both the IWGP Junior Heavyweight and IWGP World Heavyweight Championships at the same time. Later on, at the start of 2014, Devitt would then lose the Junior Heavyweight title to Kota Ibushi, thus ending his 14-month reign with that title. This match, by the way, would also mark the very first time he would don the Demon body paint, which is still arguably the coolest wrestling alter ego of the modern era. However, a few months later, after arguing with some new Bullet Club recruits, aka the Young Bucks, those two would play a pivotal role in evicting Devitt from the group and effectively New Japan, as in April of 2014 he would be granted his release from the company. And later that year he would of course appear elsewhere.
Fellas, NXT Universe, you are in for a treat!
Original black and gold NXT Balor showed up on the scene with the express intent of showing WWE's interest at the time of signing the latest and greatest indie talents from across the globe. Finn in 2014 was arguably one of the biggest prospects they could have poached, and his debut aiding Hideo Itami against the Ascension was something set to make quite the impact in NXT. After beating the Ascension at TakeOver R Evolution, Balor would swiftly be put into a tournament to determine the #1 contender for Kevin Owens' NXT title. He would defeat the likes of Curtis Axel, Hideo Itami, and Adrian Neville in the finals, before earning an opportunity at Owens where he would lose in his first go at Owens. However, Balor would not be dissuaded from his pursuit for gold and would challenge Owens again at Beast in the East, where he would defeat the prize fighter in Tokyo, Japan. This would very quickly position Balor as the top guy in NXT, and overall his future in WWE felt very bright for he who was once known as Prince Devitt. Balor would have a historic and at the time longest reign with the belt at 292 days, complete with phenomenal defenses and solid overall programs, before losing the title to his former Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic partner Samoa Joe. Finn would have his final match on the brand during a tag team bout where he teamed with Shinsuke Nakamura to take on Samoa Joe and Bobby Roode before making his way to the biggest stage he could. Finn Balor coming to the main roster in the way he did was seemingly meant to tell us as fans that this guy was the real deal. Being drafted 5th overall in the 2016 draft, Balor would quickly be inserted into a tournament of sorts to crown the inaugural WWE Universal Champion. He would defeat the likes of Cesaro, Rusev, and Kevin Owens in a fatal 4-way before taking on the big dog, aka the basically invincible babyface Roman Reigns, to determine who would face off against Seth Rollins for the title at SummerSlam. This match felt like a foregone conclusion to fans watching at the time. Roman Reigns wins and captures the new Finn won. Finn won the match. This immediately felt like not only the right call to spice up the main event scene and not just continue pushing Roman to the moon, but even felt like maybe, just maybe, some of these NXT guys would go on to get some sick pushes if this experiment with Finn pans out. And while I would absolutely love to tell you that Finn had a long and successful reign as Universal Champion, that simply isn't what happened. Finn, as the Demon, would defeat Rollins, but during the match suffered a shoulder injury that would see him vacate the Universal title. As a fan who was super excited off the back of SummerSlam, this was an utter shame. But surely once he was healed and ready to go, he would get that momentum back and have a sick storyline getting himself back to the title, right? Once again, I am sorry to say that after he came back, it wasn't quite the same. Be it because he was labeled injury prone or whatever reason. When he came back, many assumed he would at minimum be booked into the Universal title scene, but instead, he was just kinda there. He would return to TV on the Raw after Mania 33 to assist Seth Rollins against Kevin Owens and Samoa Joe, and from there would have just regular TV matches for a while. He would defeat essentially no names like Jinder Mahal and Kurt Hawkins before beginning a feud with Bray Wyatt, which, going into it in fairness, was kind of exciting. Balor would score a victory over Bray at SummerSlam while utilizing his demon persona, before the pair were set to face off again, this time at TLC, with Bray dressing in drag as Sister Abigail. Yeah, fortunately this match was called off due to Bray suffering a real-life illness at the time, not glad that he was ill, more glad the match just didn't happen, and was ultimately replaced by AJ Styles for what was genuinely an incredible match. Balor, for the remainder of the year, would start a faction with Carl Anderson and Luke Gallows named Balor Club as a clear reference to Bullet Club, which ultimately did nothing. However, in January of 2018, Balor would have quite the performance in the Royal Rumble match, coming in at the #2 spot and lasting 57 minutes before being eliminated by John Cena. And as far as his Mania plans go, he would be involved in the IC title scene in a 3-way between himself, The Miz, and Seth Rollins. That match would of course occur at WrestleMania, and would see Rollins walk out with the gold. From here, Balor would get other opportunities throughout the rest of 2018, such as a singles match for the IC title which he lost, as well as he competed in and lost in Money in the Bank, before finally being given a rematch for the Universal title that he never lost against new champion Roman Reigns. That match would happen on an episode of Raw, and it would see Balor prove unsuccessful against the big dog. Later on, in November of 2018, he would be part of the 5-on-5 elimination match at Survivor Series, where he would be the first man eliminated in said match. However, coming into the new year, Balor would get another shot at the Universal title after defeating the likes of John Cena, Drew McIntyre, and Baron Corbin in a fatal 4-way to earn a shot at Brock Lesnar for the Universal Championship at the Royal Rumble. Once again, Balor would unfortunately prove unsuccessful in regaining his championship. However, much like his match against AJ, I would rate this one as one of his better matches on the main roster, and if you haven't seen it yet, I would definitely recommend checking it out. After failing to capture the Universal title yet again, Finn would get involved with then Intercontinental Champion Bobby Lashley, and the pair would have a match at Elimination Chamber for the title, specifically a 2-on-1 handicap match pitting Finn Balor against both Bobby and his then associate/manager Lio Rush. In the match, Balor would pin Rush to capture the IC title, but would lose the championship back to Lashley in a rematch on Raw after Rush distracted him. Ultimately, the pair would blow up their feud at Mania 35, where Balor would invoke his demon persona to once again capture the Intercontinental Championship. He would then hold onto the belt for about 4 months before dropping the title to Shinsuke Nakamura at Extreme Rules. Then, in a bid to get his IC title back, he would have another match the next night on Raw, but would be attacked by the Fiend Bray Wyatt after that match. This would take his eyes off of the gold and would ultimately lead to the incredible and spine-tingling in-ring debut of The Fiend at SummerSlam 2019 in a match where Finn was basically just decimated. From here, it felt like the Finn Balor character needed a reset, needed to go back to his roots and find what made him so special in the first place. So naturally, he went back to NXT, and upon returning, he was met with massive cheers from the Full Sail crowd, with him seemingly aiding the beloved Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa against the dominant Undisputed Era. However, one Pele kick later and Johnny was down while the Undisputed Era pounced on Ciampa like a pack of savages. This action turned Balor heel for the first time in his entire WWE career. A little over a month later on an episode of NXT, Finn would get a match against Adam Cole, but would lose due to a distraction from a returning Johnny Gargano. Finn and Johnny would blow up their feud at NXT TakeOver Portland in a banger match that saw Balor take the dub. Then, just a few months later, Balor would be scheduled to take on the Velveteen Dream, but would be attacked before the match by an unknown assailant. This mystery man would later be revealed to be Damian Priest, and this general altercation would see Balor return to a more babyface role as he and Priest battled it out at TakeOver in Your House. Finn would win, and just a few weeks later would have yet another match against Adam Cole for the then vacant NXT title at Super Tuesday 2. That match would see Balor capture the title for the second time in his career, and he would defend it for the first time on October 4th at TakeOver 31 against Kyle O'Reilly, where while he won the match, he would sustain a broken jaw in the process. Because of this, he was forced to undergo surgery, but not vacate the title, and he would be back in just 2 months on December 9th, where he would then be confronted by a myriad of challengers eager to get their hands on the NXT title. Balor would once again run through several challengers, first Kyle O'Reilly at New Year's Evil, then Pete Dunne at NXT TakeOver Vengeance Day, before ultimately dropping the title to Karrion Kross at NXT Stand and Deliver 2021. This would end his second reign with the NXT title at 212 days, and his final NXT match would then occur on the May 25th episode of NXT, where he would fail to recapture the title against Karrion Kross. Finn would take a few months off from here before returning to the WWE main roster on the July 16th episode of SmackDown, where he would confront and face off against Roman Reigns. The pair had a match on an episode of SmackDown for the title, and once again at Extreme Rules, where Finn donned the iconic face paint yet again. However, the finish of this match was arguably the single worst in the entirety of Roman's reign. Why did they make the demon flop like a fish, man? Anyways, shortly after this, Balor would be drafted to Raw as part of the 2021 draft and would quickly re-enter a feud with Damian Priest over the US Championship, where he would take the title from the Archer of Infamy on the February 28th episode of Raw. However, Balor would only hold onto the title for 48 days before losing it to Austin Theory. After this, he would aid both AJ Styles and Liv Morgan in a 3-on-3 mixed tag team match at Hell in a Cell against the newly formed Judgment Day faction, comprised of Damian Priest, Rhea Ripley, and Edge. Balor's side would lose the match, and the following night on Raw, he would join the group, before he, Rhea, and Damian all attacked Edge, thus ousting him from the group. That said, for those of you who don't remember Finn's start in the Judgment Day, I'll just say it was rather interesting. Notably, he and Damian would lose to the Mysterios at SummerSlam, before then losing to the team of Rey and Edge as well at Clash at the Castle. However, it was off the back of this that the Judgment Day would recruit Dominic Mysterio. And after Dom joined the group, Judgment Day would start picking up some wins. Notably, Finn would have an I Quit match against Edge, where after some interference from the Judgment Day, who threatened to hurt his wife Beth Phoenix, Finn managed to pick off the Rated R superstar, making him give up to save his wife. Then Finn, Dom, and Damian would take on and defeat the OC, aka AJ Styles, Luke Gallows, and Carl Anderson at Crown Jewel. Balor and AJ would also have yet another singles match during their feud, this time at Survivor Series, where the Phenomenal One would pick up the win. Then the OC and Judgment Day would finally conclude their feud on the following night's episode of Raw in an 8-person mixed tag match, where Judgment Day would pick up the win and move on from there. The following year at the Royal Rumble, Balor's feud with Edge would be reignited when he was eliminated from the match by Edge. This would directly lead to Balor and Rhea taking on and losing to the Rated R Superstar and Beth Phoenix at Elimination Chamber. However, off the back of this loss, Balor would once again challenge Edge, this time at WrestleMania 39 as the Demon. The match would take place inside Hell in a Cell, and Finn would of course win because, sorry, he lost for seemingly no reason other than why not. I disagree with this vehemently. Edge didn't need the win and it makes me angry. However, with this loss, the group would finally separate from their original leader, and Balor would set his sights on a new prize. He would be selected for the tournament to crown the inaugural World Heavyweight Champion at the upcoming Night of Champions event, where he would pass the quarterfinals by beating both Cody Rhodes and The Miz in a triple threat before being bested by Seth Rollins in the semi-finals. Despite his loss to Rollins, this would not dissuade him from his pursuit to capture the World Championship, as off the back of Rollins winning the title at the aforementioned Night of Champions event, Balor would begin to feud with Seth. Specifically, he would cite how the Visionary injured him during their SummerSlam 2016 match, and would use this as fuel as to why Seth now needed to pay for what he cost Balor. Their first match over the gold would take place at Money in the Bank, where a very game Balor had nearly won the title before an unintentional distraction by new Mr. Money in the Bank Damian Priest cost him the match. This would lead to some minor friction between Finn and Damian. However, Balor would weasel his way into another match against Seth at SummerSlam, where once again he was unsuccessful in capturing the title despite outside interference from the rest of Judgment Day. Even still though, Balor's pursuit for gold would not stop here, as alongside Damian Priest, he would defeat the undisputed tag team champions Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn for the titles, and in doing so he would become the 24th Grand Slam champion in WWE history. The pair would hold onto the titles for a little over a month before losing them to Jey Uso and Cody Rhodes after JD McDonough tried to help and accidentally hit Damian Priest with the Money in the Bank briefcase. Despite this, the pair would get an opportunity to win those titles back on Raw just 9 days later, and this time they would pin Jey Uso to recapture the gold. And from October 16th all the way to April 1st at WrestleMania 40, the pair would put on some awesome tag team matches as they defended these titles for 173 days. After losing the undisputed titles at Mania, Balor would lose to Jey Uso in the quarterfinals of the King of the Ring tournament, as well as Balor and JD McDonough would prove unsuccessful in capturing the World Tag Team titles for the Judgment Day on the May 20th episode of Raw. And well, that's more or less where we're up to currently. There has been some heavily teased dissension between Damian Priest and the rest of the Judgment Day for some time now, and many fans are eager to see Balor take on Priest for the World Heavyweight Championship, which I'm hoping happens around SummerSlam, but we'll have to just wait and see. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, that was the story of an extraordinary man and his demons. I hope you enjoyed, and if you did, it would help me out immeasurably if you consider leaving a like on the video, and just remember, if we hit that massive goal of 600 likes, I'll be starting out the same type of series documenting the careers of the entire Bloodline faction. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss those videos once they're out. And before I go, I just want to ask if you've learned anything new about Balor, as well as what was your favorite moment of his. It could be a match or a segment or whatever. Regardless, this guy has made quite the impact on the wrestling world, and I'm very curious on how it impacted you guys, so let me know in the comments down below. All that being said, I'm gonna go back to poorly putting on the demon face paint in my bathroom mirror. I promise it's gonna look cool someday, but regardless, I hope you stay safe, and that was Dylightful.